Welcome back! I now reached round 16. As always, I close the round with a slip stitch and then I cut off the yarn. By the way, I put this needle case in the description box below, because a couple of you asked where you can get these, so the link will take you to a list of sellers. Okay, cut off the yarn. Pull it through and tighten. And I'm gonna measure it too. For the smallest size I have 17 centimeters. That equals 6.7 inches. The gauge has resulted in 13 stitches for a width of 10 centimeters, so about 3.9 inches, and a height of 9 rows. That's for a gauge 10 by 10 centimeters. So don't crochet too tight, because then your raglan blouse won't follow as nicely. Now we fold our work in half and then continue in the middle. We leave out the stitches left and right for our sleeves and only continue crocheting the middle stitches. For the size 38-40, so medium, I'm going to mark the middle 70 stitches. For the size large, the 42-44, I'm going to mark the middle 80 stitches. And for the extra large, so 46-48, I'm going to mark the middle 96 stitches. Let's count the stitches. I don't count the corner stitch. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 102 stitches. And I want to mark the middle 70, so 102 minus 70 equals 32. Then we divide that by 2 and get 16 stitches per side. So we mark the 16 stitches left and right that we no longer crochet into. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. And into that stitch I put my stitch marker. And the same goes for the left side. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. I'm going to take the marker from my corner here, because I won't need that anymore. And now we make sure that we count it right. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 20, 60, 64, 68, 70. And now we have to do the same for the other side. Again, I take the markers out of the corners because they've done their job. We count again. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. Put the stitch marker on that stitch. Then count on the other side. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 and use our last marker. Alright, the side where we have the transition between rounds will be the back. That would be this side here. And here I will now crochet 2 rows back and forth That is necessary for the raglan to later fit perfectly. For that, I insert in between the first 2 double crochets after my stitch marker, pull the yarn through and chain 2 stitches. And then I crochet in between these 2 double crochets another 2 double crochets. And at the same time, I can already weave in the loose end. First double crochet, second double crochet, then another 2 in between the following 2 double crochets, and that should be enough. I'm going to cut off the rest of the loose end later. And like that I continue until I reach the marker on the other side. After that I turn my work and work the second row. Once those 2 rows back and forth are finished, we start working in rounds again, just as we did before, so the front and back in one round. With that, you can then decide yourself on how long you want to make your blouse, or whatever you want to do. This raglan blouse here, you continue straight, so a very easy style. I might try a top someday, but for now we want to learn how to do the basic start from the top down, so that you can then take that basic pattern and vary it as you wish. Long sleeves or whatever you want to do. I bet you can come up with lots of ideas. You can always share your ideas in our Woolly Hugs Facebook group. I put a link in the description box below. Here at the transition of the rounds, we have another loose end that we can also already weave in. Cut off the end later. I'm almost at the marker, and then I'm going to turn my work. Important is that this is the back, but you can see that with the loose end and all, so that's not too hard. After that, we cut off the yarn once more, and then start again at the previous transition between the rounds in the middle of the back. Okay, now I'm right here one stitch previous to the marked stitch, and now it's time to turn my work. So I chain 2 stitches for the height, turn, and then right in between the first 2 double crochets, we crochet another 2 double crochets. And now you just continue until the end of the row, and then we'll meet again at the next marker where I'm going to show you how to continue. So now I'm at the end of the 2 back and forth rows and cut off the yarn. Then pull it through. And now I start anew at the old start of the round. Be careful that you continue working into the same direction as in the previous rounds. Here you can see where the transition between the previous rounds was, and that's where I now insert again. Then you pull the yarn through and chain 2 stitches for the height, same as always. Then I crochet my first double crochet, simultaneously weaving in the loose end. And the second. Move forward between the following 2 double crochets. And now I continue until the end of this row to then work the transition to the front. Almost there. The last 2 double crochets. And now I get the other side. Here's my marker that I'm gonna crochet as well. Be careful that your work is not twisted. Align the 2 corners and then here, right after the marker, we insert our hook and continue with 2 double crochets. You know that by now. This here will then later be your sleeve, where you close this side with a seam. This is the seam that you will close later, and this here will be the armhole. Okay, now I'm gonna crochet all the way to the next marker, so along the entire front, and then also show you that transition to the back. Alright, I'm still on the front, but I almost reached the marker. We again continue on the other side of the work. So first, I align the corners and straighten out my work. That's just to make sure there's no twist anywhere. Now turn it around and then continue on the other side. Here, between the first 2 double crochets of the back, continue the pattern as usual. Alright, so now the round is closed left and right, and you can just continue working in rounds, just as you're used to from before. And like that, you slowly form your blouse, sweater or dress, whatever you want to create. With the design I'm doing here, I simply used my bobble all the way to the end. If you're making one of the bigger sizes and you find it to be too short, then just get a second ball of yarn and use that second one from the outside in. That is in case you used the first one from the inside out. When you use the first one from the outside in, then you need to work the second one from the inside out. That way you don't disturb the color gradient. You can then crochet your wanted length. After all, you'll then have more than enough yarn. Let's have a quick look at the seam you need to sew. This here is going to be your sleeve. This here will be the armhole, and this is the seam. So you fold the sleeve in the middle and align the 2 borders. Then you sew along this line here, and the seam is done. And because we made these 2 extra rows here, your raglan will fit perfectly. Alright, you guys have fun crocheting and finish your beautiful new raglan blouse. I hope you had fun with this tutorial, and we'll meet again soon for another one. Love, Veronika.